I am so sorry if I'm scatterbrained in this video. Pregnancy brain is legit and it's already here. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute. Actually not really, because I've kind of delayed these videos, but I meant to film this a lot sooner and haven't been able to. So if you haven't already seen our pregnancy test result video, I will link that in the description box. But I am currently 6 weeks and 4 days pregnant. So it's just, I'm sorry, it's really crazy to say, like, it still does not feel very real. Just hasn't set in yet. But today I'm going to be filming my first update, which is only going to cover weeks 0 through 4, and then starting from there on, I'll be updating every 2 weeks. So I'll be filming again here soon for weeks 5 and 6, but this is just going to cover up to 4 weeks pregnant. I took notes on my phone so that I wouldn't forget all of the symptoms that I was having and everything. So just to recap what happened in our last video, we tested 12 days post IUI, which, sorry, Winnie, Winnie, can you please stop? Okay. We tested 12 days post IUI, which at the time I didn't know, but I was 3 weeks and 5 days pregnant is when we tested. So we tested decently early. I feel like most people would probably get a positive at that point. So that's when we tested. It was 2 days earlier than we were supposed to test, but my phone thought that I was going to start the next day, so I didn't think it was too early. So we tested and we got a really dark line. It was just as dark as the control line, and I expected it to be a lot lighter, so I was shocked at how dark it was. If you watch the video, I'm just like, why is it so dark already? It did not make sense. But yeah, so we tested then and we got our positive. I tested the next day, it was just as dark. But leading up to that, so obviously weeks 0 through 2, you don't feel anything because that's the week of your period. The next week is leading up to ovulation, and then week 3 you're ovulating, and obviously implantation and fertilization and everything is occurring in that week. Starting about a week and a half before we tested, so only a few days after we did our insemination, my boobs were really sore. That's not unusual for me for PMS, but it was a lot earlier than normal. Usually it's just like 3 or 4 days before my period starts, but this was about a week and a half before I was due to start my period. But I didn't really think anything of it because I also was on Clomid this time and I hadn't taken it before, so I knew that the extra hormone levels could have potentially affected that, so didn't pay much attention. In retrospect, looking back, I didn't pay attention to this at the time, but also starting around the same time, I started getting a very sensitive sense of smell. Anytime I would walk in the house, I was like it's dirty, like the dogs are dirty. It smelled so bad. Like, I wasn't getting nauseous, but I just could smell everything, and everything bothered me. And I could smell things before Christina could, and I didn't even want to come in the house. Everything smelled so just like dirty dogs. And it just, I have never had that before, especially because I typically keep this place pretty clean and vacuum pretty often just to keep the dander under control. So I didn't know it at the time, but I was definitely having a lot of sensitivity to smells. Another thing that started before we found out was cramping. And if you did watch 2 videos ago, when it was a vlog before we tested, I was super upset that night because my boobs were sore and I was cramping, and those are my only 2 PMS symptoms that come right before my period, and I was due to start in 2 days. So when that started, I got super upset, and then the next day I filmed that video talking about how I knew that Aunt Flo was coming because I was cramping so bad. Because I get pretty severe cramping, and so that is why I was just shocked when we got the positive. I was like, it's these symptoms that I had for pregnancy were identical to those of my period, and that shocks me. Like, usually I feel like there should be 1 or 2 that's like, like, yeah, looking back, the sense of smell, but that's not something you notice in the moment. So it still shocks me. I'm like, yeah, okay, moving on. After finding out for the next 3 or 4 days, I still felt like I was going to start my period. I still had the symptoms. They felt identical to PMS, and I was like, I literally feel like I could start my period at any time. And that's very strange to me because I don't know, I felt like I should feel pregnant now. I felt like I was gonna start my period even though I knew that I didn't have my period and it literally didn't come, but it's just how I felt. The other thing that was an indicator, not a symptom, but an indicator that I was pregnant was the fact that the day that we tested, oh my gosh, get it together, Lauren. The day that we tested was one day before my period was due. I always have severe bloating before I start. I was not bloated. I did not feel bloated. I did not feel like gross, like that gross feeling you get when you PMS. I didn't have any of that. And that was actually the reason that we tested that night. We were going to wait to test, but you'll hear in the other video, Christina was saying that we were just like playing with the dogs, and me and Christina were playing. I was sitting in her lap, and like she touched my stomach, and it wasn't, and she was like, you're not bloated at all, you're always bloated at this point, which let me just tell you, now I know she's a liar, because she's always like, you don't look bloated when I'm like feeling insecure. Now I know she lied, because she's like, oh, you're not bloated at all, which means she noticed when I was. Anyways, I was not, and so then I was like, you're totally right, like things I didn't pay attention to. This is totally different than every other month we've tried to conceive, because I was so hyper aware in the previous cycles of every single symptom, what was a sign, what wasn't a sign, like this means I'm pregnant, this means I'm not. Like this time I didn't pay any attention to what was going on. Obviously me being so shocked, like I clearly was just like, whatever. Anyways, I can go into that in another video, basically being like, this cycle was so different than any other cycle, but I digress. So the cramping continued from about 2 days before we tested for another week and a half and continuing on through the 4th week. I flew to Arizona while it was a day before I turned 4 weeks pregnant. I flew out to Arizona to take care of my siblings while my mom had surgery, and that entire week I was having pretty bad cramping. It wasn't anything I couldn't handle, or like I wasn't like bending over in pain, but it was a constant throbbing cramping that I was having, and that's why I still felt like I was going to start my period. But I noticed that it got so much better when I would drink a lot of water, so thank you Mom and my Aunt Jill for telling me to chug water, because that definitely helped. Just I guess because it was like muscle spasms, and from growing the water helped a lot. So as long as I was staying on top of my water, which I started tracking on my Fitbit app, and that helped a lot, it was keeping the cramping at bay. Oh my Lanta, they're crazy. The other symptom that started at 4 weeks was dryness in my eyes. My eyes are super dry. Even now, I'm still dealing with it. Very bloodshot when I wake up, very like dry and in pain when I open them too quickly. I did have PRK surgery in December, which is refractive surgery to give you better eyesight. And so obviously that surgery does cause more dryness, but I had actually just gotten over that and wasn't having to use eye drops consistently about a month before I got pregnant. So I'm thinking that the surgery compounded with the pregnancy hormones is just giving me extra dry eyes. And I had a follow-up, and they gave me thicker eye drops to try and help, but honestly it's not touching it. That's probably the worst symptom I have right now to deal with, is that they're so dry and in so much pain all day long, and like they're bloodshot, and I'm just like, please don't look at me, I look like a vampire right now. Another thing that I noticed starting at before we tested, probably a day or maybe a day before we tested, is that I was getting super out of breath when I would go upstairs, or like pick up something heavier than like 5 pounds. If I would do that, it was like I had never lifted a thing a day in my life before, never weightlifted, because I weightlifted and did very small amounts of cardio consistently before I got pregnant. So I felt so out of shape, and even still now you can probably hear it, but it was constantly like like when I would go up the stairs I was like, oh my gosh. And if you look in the vlog before we revealed that we were pregnant, I even like put in little comments making fun of myself because I was like coming up the stairs like, oh, we're gonna play games and we're gonna do this, but it was bad. It's gotten better this week actually. Anyways, we're only talking up to 4 weeks, guys. So shortness of breath, another symptom. Also, to reroute back to the cramping, I found that being active and walking helped as well. I only really noticed the cramping when I was standing still or sitting and laying down, obviously. When I was being stagnant, that is when I noticed the cramping. So luckily I was in Arizona taking care of my 3 youngest siblings, and so they had me very busy, and that was a blessing because I would notice the cramping as soon as I sat down while they were at school. That helped a lot. So if you are dealing with cramping, I highly suggest water, 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 and go for lots of walks. Like, get up and move around. If you're watching TV, just get up a few times. Like, just do something to get your blood flowing, and it helps a lot. And as the sun's going down, I think I'm coming to the end of my 0 to 4 week symptoms. That's all I can think of that I've had up to 4 weeks. If you have any questions, you can leave them below. I'm thinking about doing a recap video of everything that's happened thus far, like just like kind of a TTC recap for new people, because I have gotten a lot of new subscribers. We are at like 143 right now, which I'm super excited. I'm hoping to hit 200 by the end of the year. That's my little goal. It's really exciting to me that we're reaching people right now, because something that we struggled with when we started the process is that we could not find YouTube videos of same-sex couples trying to conceive, doing the same process that we were. Like, we had to search and search and search to find them, and so that was a big motivator for me to want to start up my channel again and give it a reboot, so that we could reach people. And I know with our pregnancy videos and our TTC videos, I've gotten comments from strangers and subscribers that are going through or about to go through the same thing, and it's really good that I can share it with you and give you some insight and hopefully let you know that you're not alone, and it's okay if you don't know what's happening. We didn't know what was happening when we started. Always crying because I'm not paying attention to him. So if you do have any questions or anything you want to ask, please feel free to leave a comment. You can check me out on Instagram, send me a message, whatever you want to do. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you soon either with a vlog or my 5 to 6 week update, because we're pregnant! Oh, also, obviously no baby bump, a lot of bloat in the evenings. There's nothing. I'll show you just for future reference. Pull these down. Even if you can see with the light in the background, but if I engage my core, this is my stomach right now. So that's engaged. There's a little bit more bloat than normal, but it's pretty firm. If I let it out, you can see there's a lot of bloat there, but not as bad as it has been the last week or so. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye!